Alright, so I might be a little bit late to the whole trend with Crunchyroll, but it is what it is. Still gotta get down to it. So imagine a major public highway you've driven on for a decade. It's clean, wide, reliable, and it connects you to everything you love, all the places you go to on a daily basis. And then a massive multi-billion-dollar corporation buys the entire road. And what's the first thing they do after purchasing the road? They put up toll booths every 5 miles. Next, they stop patching the potholes. Then they completely block off the exit ramps to, the destinations you already paid to pass through, forcing you down a single straight lane. Now, this isn't a hypothetical business scenario. This is exactly what happened to the anime community over the last 2 years. Now, we all heard at some point Crunchyroll was originally pitched to us as the savior, the definitive platform that would make anime piracy obsolete by providing an affordable, legal, and seamless experience, or so they claimed. But instead, they've transformed into a textbook corporation monopoly by completely killing off their free tier, spiking subscription fees to all-time highs, and letting their basic quality control rot from the inside out. They aren't just losing fans, they're actively driving them away. But here's the thing, if you think this is just a nonsense complaint about a price hike, you're missing out on the bigger picture. The stakes here aren't just about a few extra dollars leaving your wallet. It's about the complete destruction and evisceration of digital ownership and a systemic threat to your private data. Today we're looking at the raw numbers and the fatal technical errors and the wild corporate history behind why millions of fans are officially abandoning the shit they paid for and heading right back to the open seas of piracy. Now let's start with what I call the landlord strategy. And the stakes here are basically simple. If they can do this to your anime, absolutely nothing you buy online is safe. Now imagine you rent out a beautiful apartment. You're renting a beautiful apartment. And then you fill it up with thousands of dollars worth of your own furniture. And you're a good renter, you pay your bills on time, everything. You pay all your bills on time. Then one day, a pretty big corporate conglomerate ends up buying the entire building. Then they immediately go straight into raising your rent by 25%. And then, they go the extra mile and take all of your personal furniture, the ones that costed you thousands of dollars, and throw it right into the trash with absolutely zero reimbursement. Now, this is exactly how Crunchyroll handled its merge with Funimation. For over a decade, fans spent hard-earned money buying physical discs that came with the digital copy codes. These weren't just rentals anymore. These were digital lockers built to keep your favorite shows safe, or so we thought. But when Crunchyroll officially absorbed the service, they didn't migrate those libraries of all the bot shows that you had. They just outright deleted them. Years of fan investment vanished just like that. Now, this is the problem I have with it, because this sets a bad example, and it proves that the major media corporations no longer respect the concept of purchasing a product. You aren't just a buyer anymore for them. You're a permanent renter at the mercy of a boardroom. And then to top it all off, the corporate squeeze doesn't just stop there. After shutting down their free ad-supported tier completely for all remaining legacy customers, they rolled right into March 2026 with a price hike across the board. The baseline fan plan, which hadn't really changed since 2019, went up from $7.99 to $9.99 a month, while the Mega and Ultimate fan tiers went all the way up to nearly $14 and $18 a month. Now, they didn't just increase the price because the service all of a sudden became better for consumers. They increased it because they knew they had successfully swallowed their biggest competitor, that being Funimation, and then immediately assumed that you had absolutely nowhere else to look if you wanted to watch your older, entertaining shows. Shows that you can't find nowadays. They're testing your breaking point, basically. Now, if you stay, you're telling the entire streaming industry at that point that they can charge you whatever they want and you'll still sit there and take it. But alright, let's say you tank the hike price like a champ. If you're paying $10 to $18 a month for a hyper-focused niche streaming platform, you'd expect a luxury hotel experience. You'd expect the doors to open up smoothly when you walk in to check in. And when you walk into the room, you'd expect to see clean sheets and pillows with absolutely no stains on them. And they smell nice and fresh like they were just freshly washed. And then you'd expect to not find mold in the bathroom when you go to take a shower at night. You know, you want to see good presentation from this hotel. But instead, Crunchyroll has basically been handing us an unmaintained product. But let's talk about the embarrassment that took place with their subtitle localization team. You know, fans noticed German subtitles for Necronomicon and the Cosmic Horror that literally started with the words ChatGPT said. You know, the localization team didn't even bother to edit out the literal evidence that a human didn't translate the script. They just went ahead and copy and pasted an AI prompt right onto the page stream, while they went ahead and blamed an outside third-party vendor for breaking an agreement. And this quite literally shows you exactly how thin their internal safety net is. They're actively charging you premium prices while automating the creative work behind your back. But here's where the stakes get dangerously high for you personally. A pretty bad data breach back in March 2026 exposed over 8 million customer support tickets after hackers compromised an external support agent's credentials. You know, this leaked the names, usernames, IP addresses, locations, and raw ticket contents of millions of people. You know, think about how crazy that is. Now, think about the irony here. You're paying a massive global corporation a premium monthly fee to keep your account safe, yet an unpaid team of community volunteers running a pirate site can rip the raw feed, embed flawless typesetting, provide incredibly accurate human translations, and run a more stable, secure video server entirely for free within 10 minutes of a Japanese broadcast. You know, and they say piracy is dead. Piracy isn't winning because it's cheap. It's winning because it's doing all the right things. The things that all these premium streaming services refuse to do. That being Crunchyroll primarily. And now this brings us to the paradox of the entire industry. The giant corporations currently spending millions of dollars on legal strike teams to hunt down, sue, and destroy pirate websites was literally built entirely on piracy. In 2006, Crunchyroll didn't start as a legitimate corporate partner. It started as an illegal underground fan-subbed upload platform. Then they weaponized a massive audience built entirely on unauthorized content to attract major venture capital, clear their records, and go corporate. They know exactly how the pirate system works because they literally used it as a blueprint to become a monopoly. But in going corporate, they completely forgot why people use them in the first place, which was out of sheer convenience. Look at the global traffic data. Unofficial streaming sites like Hi Anime routinely pulled in over 150 million monthly visitors, comfortably outstripping the legal traffic of official platforms. Now you might be asking, like, well, what's happening? What's the issue? The problem is that if a corporate monopoly successfully uses its legal power to crush every single alternative while continuing to provide a subpar service, the medium itself suffocates. Like when the underground alternative is outperforming a global corporate monopoly owned by Sony, you're no longer dealing with a moral issue, you're now dealing with a severe service issue. If they go ahead and wipe out the competition without fixing their own house, the entire distribution of anime downgrades into a low effort, high cost bottleneck. Now, there's a very good quote from the gaming industry that perfectly summarizes this entire crisis. And it goes, "Piracy is almost always a service problem and not a price problem." Now, if you treat the consumers fairly, respect their digital purchases, and provide high quality localization, and build a safe, functioning interface, the vast majority of anime fans will most definitely pay for it. They want to support the artists, the animators, and the studios. Like, we all know how hard these mangakas work, and the schedules, how rigorous these schedules are, and how amazing these animators are, and how little they're getting paid. We want to help that. We want to fund that. We want to fund these people. You know, that's their work going out. That's their work that we're enjoying. We like to see that. I love to see the Demon Slayer animation. Excuse my stuttering there for a second. I love to see Mappa animation, Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen. We love that. One Piece, we love to see those animations. But when you build a monopoly, then take away the options, hike the price of entry, and deliver an inferior product to what a casual group of volunteers can make on a weekend, the social contract is done. But let's lay out the final stakes clearly. You know, let's just throw it out there. If we continue to give our money to an unmaintained, hollowed out corporate monopoly just because it has an official sticker on it, the quality of our viewing experience will keep going down while the entry fees keep going up. They'll just keep deleting your content, and they'll just keep adding automated bots that will keep writing your subtitles, and your security will basically remain a second thought. You know, it's one of those things where voting with your wallet is the only real language a corporation understands. The future of how we consume this medium depends entirely on the consumers refusing to tolerate corporate laziness and greed. So here's my question for you. Are you going to keep your subscriptions despite the risks involved with it, and knowing how greedy these people are and how much they don't care about you? Or have you basically hit your breaking point with corporate subscription fatigue? Let me know your exact thoughts down in the comments, and I want to see where you draw the line.